Welcome to the NANP Nourishing Your Practice podcast. I'm Kristen Burkett.
And I'm Diana Wally. We're your hosts for NANP's podcast dedicated to connecting holistic nutrition practitioners with each other to share best practices, strategies, and opportunities for a thriving nutrition practice.
Diana and I are master nutrition therapists, board certified in holistic nutrition, with private practices and an online joint venture that supports clients and practitioners as they strive to reach their full potential. As NANP committee participants, we're honored to be hosting this podcast for NANP and connecting our peers with so much valuable practice information.
NANP is very proud to provide the highest level of professional recognition and validation in the holistic nutrition industry through the board certification in holistic nutrition credential. To earn this valuable designation, candidates must demonstrate an exceptional level of knowledge and understanding of holistic nutrition by passing a board exam and documenting client contact hours. Are you ready to boost your credibility with board certification? Visit nanp.org today to apply. And if you enjoyed today's show, please leave us a 5-star rating and review in your podcast player.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 32 of the Nourishing Your Practice podcast. We're excited to talk today with wellness educator, author, and cooking instructor, Carrie Bonfitto with Two Hearts Nutrition.
But before we get started, we'd like to thank our fabulous sponsor, Revitan, for making this episode possible. Revitan is the world's only toothpaste that subscribes to the modern science of the human microbiome. Our native bacteria, when in balance, do amazing things, such as remineralize our teeth and maintain healthy gums by providing needed oxygen. Formulated with prebiotics, CoQ10, and vitamins, including K2 and D3, Revitan nurtures and balances our oral microbiome, which leads to optimal oral health and is intimately linked to total body wellness. Learn more at revitan.com. That's REVITIN.com. And now I feel like I need to brush my teeth.
Well, let's get started. Carrie Bonfitto is a wellness educator, cooking instructor, and author. She received her nutrition counseling degree from Bauman College and trained in culinary arts at the New School of Cooking. She's certified in Digestive Mastery by the Institute of Nutritional Endocrinology. Through her private practice, Two Hearts Nutrition, she turns up the heat on healthy eating, transforming it into delicious and practical food therapy. Having spent years getting bounced from doctor to doctor before taking her health into her own hands, Carrie is dedicated to helping those who suffer with chronic conditions regain their vitality. Her book, What to Cook, Why to Eat It, is an easy-to-understand guide about the value of whole foods at home. It is packed with the recipes and science-backed information she shares in the healthy cooking and nutrition classes that she teaches at Los Angeles Valley College, LA City College, and Jewish Family Services, LA. As a mom to a very active 7-year-old, and because she worked in the TV industry for many years, Carrie understands the need for easy action steps and simple, delicious foods that are practical solutions for her clients. Welcome, Carrie. We're excited to have you with us today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, Carrie, thanks for making time for this conversation. You're our first guest who's trained in the culinary arts, so this is exciting. And we'd love to start by hearing your story and how you came into the field of nutrition.
Well, it was kind of a long road. Like the interest that I was in the television industry for a long time, for about 10 years. And then I kind of got out of that and was just really having health issues, a lot of stress. I was in a stressful marriage and just seeing a doctor after doctor for sinus issues, for vaginitis. It was very, very hard to deal with. Just everybody was telling me I was having symptoms that were in my head, right? Or they were testing and they were like, well, we don't really see anything. So here, have this antifungal that's like 7 times more powerful than a human needs, So a lot of medication as well. And I ended up coming across a book called Food and Mood. And I was very into this book, and it was really talking about candida and yeast overgrowth. And I was like, wow, this is me. This is everything that's going on with me. And I brought it to my doctor, and he basically said that this didn't exist. So as a condition, and just to ignore the book. But I was very much getting into food at this time, and my ex-husband was also a little bit of a maniac. So I was like I was starting to investigate food and thinking about ways that I could manage his mood with the food I was preparing, because I was really the cook in the house. And obviously that backfired because you need to take care of yourself and not control other people's eating. And so it was after several years, I just ended up stumbling across the Bauman College website and really getting to understand food better, and how it could really be used to heal and to just change people's health. And at the same time, I was actually fulfilling a lifelong dream of going to culinary school. And so I kind of was doing both at the same time, and became very interested in this being my career. And I switched careers and started helping people, and got pregnant, had my son, and he was wonderful, but I was exhausted after having him. And I was just couldn't get past the fatigue. I was afraid to drive from the fatigue. And again, going to doctors, and my doctors just telling me, you're a new mom, you're not sleeping, this is what's going on. And so because I had the training, I was able to do some self-testing of blood work. Here in California. You can order blood tests for yourself easily. And so it was there that I found that I said, okay, well, maybe it's thyroid, because that's what my research had said. And so I ran a thyroid test. I brought this to my doctor, and he translated for me and said, wow, you have Hashimoto's. And put me on some medication for that. And immediately I regained my energy. But, I wasn't I didn't have the typical look of somebody who has Hashimoto's, right? My weight was normal. I wasn't losing my hair. Like, I was just tired.
Yeah, like any new mom, right? Right. You're just tired, and just write it off to being tired, and it's nothing else. Yeah, but I'm so glad that you took it into your own hands, and you took control of that and said, no, there's more to my story. And you did what you needed to do. And then you found somebody that could help you with it. That's just awesome that you were able to do that. That's great. So as you're practicing now, you've got both the nutrition degree and the culinary degree. How have you merged all of that together? And tell us a little bit about your practice and how you're structured, how you're making it work together.
Yeah, so I knew right away that I wanted to do cooking demos. I just really love doing that and showing people how to cook. And I was lucky enough to have an externship with Jewish Family Services that Bauman College had kind of facilitated. It was part of our credentialing. And I just started working with them and had an amazing time working with their life program, which is mostly women who are 80 to 90 and still are living on their own, and just very excited about life. And I was going to their different locations and talking to them about nutrition and doing a cooking demo at this, at the end of the talk, and sharing the food. And we were really just getting to know each other in that way. And just, I've been doing that for 6 years now. I haven't left, and more locations with them. And I just love that community of people and have learned so much from them. But they are so into the cooking, which is fantastic. And the sharing of the food. And I think to me that it just brings people to me as the nutritionist. It gets us talking about food. And then we can also, as I'm cooking, I throw in health tips, right? So I'm telling them, these are the orange vegetables, and they are really good for supporting your eye health, and giving them just little tidbits, right? Things that aren't out of this world, but how many people are not eating any fats, especially in that age group when we're told for so long not to eat fats, and they're still not, and then they're experiencing dementia, and I get them eating some fats and go back the next month, and they're like, oh, I tried some fats, and you know what, I didn't forget where I put my keys this week. And it's just like those little stories, I think, are what keeps me going. And the really small, simple changes, that working in a community like that with the food and with the people, like those small changes are so impactful to people. And it really reminds me every time I go there, like the little stuff matters so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I have a little side hustle that I just think is so much fun. That I get the opportunity to work with, from a training perspective, some people in their 80s, early 90s, and it is the most rewarding thing that I do. And to your point about learning so much, I have a notebook full of things that these people teach me. So much wisdom, and it's such a blessing to be able to work with that. And they just must eat you up, because you have such a nice way about you, and how the way that you can share about food, that's not it didn't feel preachy. It just felt so natural, the way that you were talking about it. So what a gift you're giving them.
Well, thank you. But I'll tell you, they are tough on me. I think they ask me the tough questions, and, if I say something that they're like, that can't possibly be true. Like they're calling me out, and they're making me really cite my sources and tell them the science. I think more so than when I'm working with younger groups. The younger groups are kind of like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Or maybe they're like, we'll research that later if we don't believe it, but they're not putting me on the spot.
Well, Carrie, you're feeding them too well, and the better you feed them, the smarter they're going to get. And so, yeah, I'm not.
Exactly.
Anyway, so one of the questions that our audience is most interested in is what business tools you're using right now that you find to be most helpful and impactful.
Yes, I am absolutely every single day using WellBeing from Emerson Ecologics. It's their virtual dispensary. I think that has been a big change for me and my business, is just to be able to get somebody's email and then be able to send them, these are the specific supplements, these are specific dosages for what we talked about that people usually benefit from. So and just for them to have it there at their fingertips, and then people reorder, which is fantastic, without calling me. So instead of, I used to be getting texts and emails, oh, can you order me some more of this or some more of that? Now people are self-sufficient, and that is fantastic.
Yeah, that's a great tool. I think Diana and I both use WellBeing and a couple of others as well, depending on what the needs are. But that's been invaluable, not only just for, number one, making it easier for us, making it easier for clients. And then it's also, it's a good side revenue stream as well. So it benefits in multiple ways for the practitioner. Yeah, absolutely. And what else? I think you mentioned in our pre-information something about a bookkeeping software that you use.
Oh, right. Yes, I use Wave, which I believe it's actually Canadian.
Oh, tell us a little bit about, is it similar to QuickBooks or something like that? Or do you know?
I find it easier than QuickBooks. I have done bookkeeping on QuickBooks for other companies, actually. But I feel it's very intuitive. It's 100% free, which is also something I like about it. If you want to invoice people through the software, they can pay you with credit cards, and then they take a small percentage, but it's no more than any other site will take for a credit card transaction. And I think that's how they do make their money. But it's very intuitive, and I print all the things I need for my tax person out from there as well, and they've had no issues with it. And I can see my reporting, if I'm my profit and loss statements, and just it's really been a nice platform.
Nice. I haven't heard of that one before, so that might be something some folks in our audience want to check out if they're just building their business and they're looking for, an entry-level bookkeeping tool. I think that's a great one to look up. So Wave, WAVE, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, obviously we're not plugging any particular product or service out there, but we love to share what's working for other people. So that might be something you want to check out in our audience. So awesome. What else do you find that's working for you in your practice right now? What's going well, and maybe what opportunities do you have to improve?
So I definitely think that my classes are going well. I do teach a lot of cooking classes, and even with the pandemic, like I was very scared at the beginning that the classes were going to go away, right? Because we couldn't get together anymore. But the colleges I was working for very quickly transitioned to virtual classes, and I'm able to do the virtual classes on from my home on the computer, and I'm still getting decent attendance, doing knife skills classes, doing fasting for longevity classes, what I do homemade protein bar classes. And I like doing the longer classes. Like I have a series, Healthy Cooking 101, which is a 6-class series. We meet for 2 hours, 6 weeks in a row. And those are really nice because you get to know people, right? And you get to kind of understand what their struggles are in the kitchen. And I think that I meet a lot of people that way who then eventually become clients. So it's really great to be in that environment. And that's kind of my funnel in a way, is to say, this is who I am. I'm going to show you some new recipes, and we're going to talk about health conditions. And I talk about them very generally, but usually by the end of 6 weeks, there's something that people will connect with, right? And then what's not working though is I'm still struggling with this whole social media aspect of my business, and figuring out how to be comfortable in that space and have the time for it.
I'm right with you there. It is my everyday struggle, and it's like that guilt that's always in the back of my mind. Oh, you really need to this, you really need to, and I just put it off all the time because I'm so uncomfortable.
Yeah. So real talk. I had a client, so I'm in my 50s, and I had a client the other day, nutrition client, 39, and like just this like very sophisticated, beautiful woman. And she at the end, and she's actually a therapist. And at the end, she was like, have you experimented with social media? Because I was looking for you, and I was like, I'm so mortified. I said, well, I'm trying. I do try, but yeah, it's so funny. I was like, all you young people know what's going on, and no, so I can totally relate. I was embarrassed.
But you know what? I have a lot of experience in that realm, because I was actually for almost 2 years, I was the wellness educator for Kettle and Fire bone broth.
Oh, I love that product.
So I worked with them for a long time, and and I would do a weekly Facebook Live where I was talking about the bone broth and health issues and the way the bone broth could help you. And I had a group I was moderating for them that had probably 25, almost 25,000 people. It was like crazy amount of people.
Wow.
And I seriously got 3 clients the entire 2 years from all of that exposure. And so I don't have the motivation
Mhm. Mhm.
to do it, because I feel like I got a lot of emails
Mhm.
of people who wanted information and advice and things like that, but I didn't see the turnaround from the Facebook, from all of that energy. And I was, I wasn't just, I was being backed by this company that people were buying product from.
Mhm.
Maybe they felt like they were already paying me because they were buying bone broth, but I don't know.
Mm.
Oh, that's interesting. So you think you're kind of holding back because you're not sure that the investment of your time will be worth the payback from your personal business?
Yes, I find other things are much more um, uh, positive, or
Mm.
they create that positive return with a lot less effort.
Yeah.
That makes me feel a little better because I always have to go to my teenagers. I'm like, hey, can you guys help me with this post, this Instagram? Yeah. Anyway.
But I get the nervousness in my hands
Yeah.
when I'm writing a post, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, am I saying the right thing? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very shy about it.
Yeah. But Kristen and I, our philosophy, is just do it. Like we post, we do the best we can and we post, and some people like it. So,
It's small, but
yeah, that's
it
right.
makes us feel better to get
Kristen,
it
I
out
love
there.
your Instagram. Just saying. I follow you.
Yeah, thank you. You're
Follow her,
my
people.
one of two fans. So
Yeah. I'm a big fan, big fan. Well, let's pivot a little and talk about the NANP. So we know you're board certified, Carrie. So tell us how that is benefiting your practice, like what you've experienced with that credential.
I really love having that credential. I love being able to say, board certified in holistic nutrition on my website and on my business cards. It just makes me feel really good. I think it helps, especially because dealing with bigger organizations. So Los Angeles Valley College, Los Angeles City College, Jewish Family Services are huge networks, right? And so they're looking at your resume as I present, I propose programs to them, or they're figuring out who I am before they're even going to accept these programs from me. And I think it makes a difference that they feel like I have some real credentialing behind what I'm doing. And I love, I really love being forced to keep the credential up to date and do the continuing education units. Like, I wouldn't do it if I wasn't forced to. And every single time I do a CEU, I learn something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to use this. I have to write this down. This changes everything that I've been doing for this particular protocol. And I'm like, all right, this is going to work better. Or, oh, I need to add a binder. That's what's happening. So I just really love it.
Yeah, it's nice to have that reason because there's so many things like social media or these that, we need to work into our schedules somewhere. And it's really easy to let the continuing education fall to the bottom of the list. But knowing that you have to forces you to put it in there, and then forces you to look for things that are interesting to you that you think will add value to your practice. And so it starts to rise back to the top, and then we stay sharp. And I think it's a huge, gosh, it's a game changer for our practices because, this field changes so fast. There's new things that are being learned and shared all the time. So it's a great way to keep up and be current with everything going on. And I think that confidence that you talked about, whether it's on your business card, your website, but the confidence it gives in you when you are submitting those proposals or those presentations or whatever it might be, knowing that you have that credibility behind you, I think it's huge. I feel the same.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you're definitely a busy person doing all of the different classes and working with people one-on-one. You're juggling a lot. You've got a 7-year-old you're trying to wrangle in as well. So what helps you manage your time to stay efficient?
I am very much dedicated to my calendar. I have my iCal is what I use, and I just, every single appointment has to go in there with the schedule. And if there's a drive time involved with it, the drive time has to be listed. And, you know, the baseball practices and meet play dates with friends, like everything goes into that calendar. And my research, even like if, okay, I need to research this product or this platform to see if that's going to be useful, I'll put it in there so I don't forget. Like I'll get, you know, how maybe you're listening to a podcast and you hear, oh, what was that software? Oh, I'm going to look that up, and I'll put it in my calendar rather than writing it on a Post-it note that's going to go away. And so I'm very much keeping that consistent.
And what about your emotional health? I mean, Kristen touched on, you know, how busy you are. What do you do for your emotional well-being?
I think I owe a lot of my emotional well-being to my husband. He is a support for me in a way that no other human has really ever been, besides maybe my parents when I was small. But he keeps me kind of centered, you know, and just figuring out what's important and not getting too overwhelmed with everything. And he's very encouraging as well. So I think it helps to have somebody on your team that is just the cheerleader, no matter what you do, you know, even if you fall down or you lose a client because you did the wrong thing, or they, you know, he's like, well, that's fantastic, and tells me why it is. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, you know, we're just meeting you, but like being on Team Carrie is an awesome team. Like, yeah, that would be an easy team to cheerlead for.
Well, thank you.
So given all that, you know, how you manage your time and how you stay grounded emotionally, what words of advice would you have for the new practitioners listening?
I would tell them to just listen to your clients. That this something my mother said to me right after I got my certification from Bauman College was, you are going to help so many people. And those words like echo in my mind like all the time that she said that, and she had that confidence. I'm kind of like,
I was just going to say, I think I'm starting to cry. Oh my God.
Shivers all over.
Oh my God. And the way you said that, oh my God.
But if I can pass anything on, like I would say those words to anybody who is in this field. Like, I think you are just going to help so many people because you're you and you care, and you're going to sit there and you're going to listen to them. And people just need that. They need somebody to hear all of their complaints and their symptoms and what's going on in their life, and look at them as a whole person, right? We're practicing holistically, and just to take that time and say, okay, I want to know you completely, and then just show them those small things that you know how to do, and help them one small step at a time, and continue to learn and to continue to get more information that you can then pass on to them or to new people. It's the best job in so many ways, just to be that person who is open to other people and their needs.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, you're the only one that's done that for them, really, from a health journey standpoint. The only practitioner in their life that's ever actually cared enough to really get to know them and understand them. So it's a different world in holistic nutrition from any other practice that's out there, I think. And there's an authenticity that I think I feel that you bring to what you do, Carrie, that I can tell your clients must feel. And those groups that you work with, with your cooking classes, I can see why they love you. I mean, your heart is on your sleeve and you're sharing and caring with everybody that you touch. And I think that's, it's a value that you bring and other practitioners bring to our field that sometimes we don't recognize as much as what we should. So for all of you listening out there, just know that that's what you're doing and how much it means, and don't underestimate the value of that, because it really is so important. Okay, so I feel like we could all like shed a tear now. So good. But I'm going to turn this, let's bring the fun back in. I'm going to ask you a fun question that we like to ask our guests at the end of the show. Tell us one thing you've incorporated in your practice that might take a little extra effort to do, but it's made a huge difference.
I would definitely say finishing and publishing my book, which is still very new. I'm still navigating that and trying to figure it out, but it's in pre-order right now. And it's called What to Cook and Why to Eat It. And so this is kind of like, I just did a brain dump in a way of all the most important things. Like if I were just to meet somebody who has the standard American diet, like what could they do? What information do they need to change their choices? And I put it all into one book that's kind of half handbook, like this is what you need to know: grass-fed meats and healthy fats and gluten and all of the things that are fiber and all of the things that are really going to be super helpful. And then I share recipes for beverages, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and even some guilt-free desserts, so that people have kind of any kind of meal. What could I have? What can I go to? And just making it a handbook to have in your kitchen. And I just feel good about that too. Again, I think that's like the board certification. It's just like an accomplishment. It feels like this is something that I did, and I'm kind of surprised by it in some ways, that I did it. And I have this now to share with people. And it's even become like I gave it to, before it was printed, I gave it to my chiropractor. And I said, could you just read this for me and see what you think of it? Because he's very into telling people about food choices as well. And he was glowing about it. He's like, I need your book. I need to start giving it to people. When is it coming? And so it just really made me feel like, okay, this is something I can share.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, congratulations. What an accomplishment. There are so many of us that talk and dream about writing a book, but actually putting the pen to paper or typing, whatever it is however it is you go about doing it, to actually do it, to sit down and make it happen. I think that's fabulous. I just so admiring of all of that and the process that it took to get there. So congratulations. We're excited for you. And for those of you out there, if you go to Carrie's website, the book is on her website, and it's just beautiful. Like the pictures of the recipes inside, the cover of the book. It's like you just want to get a warm cup of tea and sit down with it, because it just is so inviting. I love the look of it. I can't wait to get it.
Oh, yay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations. So sad. That's all the time we have. We could talk to you all day. I want to thank you, Carrie, and your mom, who is an amazing woman, I can tell, but just for giving us, I'm speaking for Kristen, but I'm sure she would agree, that one of our favorite podcast moments so far, just about how all of us in our field are helping so many people. Like that was incredible. So thank you for that. And thank you all so much for joining us. We appreciate you so much. Please remember to leave us a 5-star review if you love what we're doing here on the podcast, and we'll all see you next time.
If you'd like to access other episodes or subscribe to be sure you don't miss a beat, you can find us at nanp.org/NANP-podcast.
Are you a board certified member with NANP and interested in sharing your best practices on the podcast? Reach out to one of us at editor@namp.org.
Membership in the NANP provides you with a competitive advantage. Whether you're a current practitioner or a student, we want you to become an active, informed leader of the holistic nutrition community and join today at nanp.org.
Keep in mind that the information on the NANP podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered medical or legal advice. The NANP is not liable or responsible for any harm, damage, or illness arising from the use of the information contained herein. By listening to the information on this podcast, you agree to defend, indemnify, and hold harmless the NANP and all agents. Copyright NANP, all rights reserved.
Until next time, keep walking your purpose with passion.